Damon,
What's going on?
how are you?
Doing good, man. How are you?
Good. Yeah, it's been a couple minutes from your fight. How you feeling?
I feel great. I definitely was ready to roll. So it was a tough fight. It's good.
How do you feel about your performance?
It was good. I had his back the whole time, and it's always like when you get someone's back, you want that finish really bad. But he was moving well, so I felt good with just having that good control over him, and he couldn't escape. So it's solid. But I always want the finishes, especially when I get it back. I want that finish.
What was your game plan coming into this fight?
Pressing forward, like my normal style is press forward, wrestle, and grapple with anyone. So it's no secret. When I was coming out here, I knew he was a wrestler, but I felt confident in going to the ground.
You're a tough UFC debut for Dan, and I know how important it was for you to stay on this card. So, do you give him props for stepping up?
Hell yeah! I try to say things like that and not build it up too much, because it's kind of it should be expected if you're a newcomer to step up on a short notice, or bad fight, whatever you want to call it, and that's where you make your name. So it's like for him, I think they ran it by I think 8 different guys. So you got a 35er stepping up. Like props to him, and he's a strong kid. Like for 35 guys are gonna have trouble with him. I was doing good with controlling him, but he was stout.
Yeah, that third round, man. How were you hurt, and what was it that made you the second half of that third round just take over?
Hey, it's that's three fights, 3 wins for me, back to back, and that's a big motivation to get on that win streak. So I'm not, I don't want to give the kid too much credit. He could do better. He could definitely, he's going to be a great fighter for sure. But I was there looking for that third win. So when I went into that third round, I was thinking, this is way too close. It should be way more one-sided than what it is right now. So when I kicked it in gear, I was just wanting that win.
Awesome. And what do you want the rest of your year to look like? Is there a possibility that maybe you hop on that Dallas card?
Oh man, Dana, Sean, you guys give me the Dallas card. People don't know this, but I was born and raised about an hour from Dallas. So having that fight there is as close to a hometown fight as I could ever get. And my entire pro career has been based out of Dallas. So I was 3-0 when I moved to Dallas, and then I've been fighting there since 2013. So it would just be incredible to fight, in the American Airlines Center. I've watched so many Mavs games there, so many Stars games. So it would just be cool as hell. And I told my kids, I was like, I would never let them come to the Apex. I would never let them go to a different country to watch me fight. But I was like, if I fight in Dallas, I was like, you guys can go. We'll get a box and we'll just sit you guys up in the box, and then you can see. I think it'd be so cool to fight in Dallas and to be in front of my family and friends, and just it'd be awesome.
Awesome. I really hope that happens for you, man. And finally, for me, I know you've been calling for a top 15 opponent. Is there anybody in mind?
Hey, top 15, whatever, tough as hell. I went Darren Elkins. I would love to have that fight. It just he's the guy. He's the guy that you call, and then he's gonna be, yep, I'll be there, whatever. He's down to fight. I know he would bring the fight for sure, and I would love that fight. Whoever the hell whoever they call me about, I'm gonna take it. I'm not gonna turn a fight down, and I think Sean knows that, and I think everyone kind of knows that. Is that if you want to call me out, then I'm game. Let's go.
Congratulations.
Thanks, man.
Speaking of that, how many more wins till you think you're going to start breaking into that top 15? You think one more is enough?
I don't know. I don't know how the rankings work. I think they're all kind of bullshit. I think it's kind of fan favorite, whatever. So if I go out there and start smashing every fight and fighting consistently, maybe I'll break my way into that top 15, top 10. But skill-wise, I can hang with a lot of guys. Tonight wasn't my favorite performance, but it is what it is. He's a tough kid. It's a different generation of fighters now, so. I can't put a whole lot on just him being only 8-0. He's been training with Cub, and he's been training with a good gym for a while now. So it's we've got a lot of those killers in the gym that are 1 or 2 fights into their pro career, and they're just they're tough, they're game. So I'm looking to break in the top 15, top 10, but I want to fight consistently. I don't want to sit in the top 15 and fight once or twice a year. I think that's just garbage. So if I can stay consistent and fight in the top 15 or top 10, then I'm game. But if not, I want to fight. I want to be fight as much as possible.
I was gonna say, it looked like your last fight, so you're talking like 3 months. Do you feel that's the perfect amount for you, where you're staying in shape, you're able to peak, and then come in here and like great performance? Is that
Yeah,
that time frame?
no, I think that's a pretty good timeline. I think anything more or less is kind of like anything more is way out of the picture for me. Like I don't want that, but anything less is like you got to really make sure you're not overtraining and you're not like beating your body up too bad. But 3 months would be awesome. But if I could fight, like I said, like end of July in Dallas, that would just be amazing. I would love that. I could sell out. If I was on the undercard, I could sell out the undercard for sure.
Well, it's interesting. You have been doing this for a long time,
Yeah.
So you hear yourself saying, like, the new breed coming up,
Yeah.
Does it feel that way? Do you feel like the fighters that are coming now are, in a sense, a new breed? Because a lot of them have been watching UFC their whole life.
I don't think that they're anything more special than anyone else. It's just like they're smarter about how they approach their career. Like they train jiu-jitsu, wrestling, boxing. And whenever I first started, I was just a wrestler for like 4 or 5 years until I got hit in the face in the UFC. That was when I was like, okay, I got to do something different. This isn't working. So like it took me a long time to figure that out. And now it's just like there's so many health coaches with nutrition and the supplementing and like taking time off and making sure that you're not just training every day because you think that's what it's going to take. You got to make sure you're training the right way. And these kids are growing up with the fighters that have went through all that hell and teaching them, don't do this or whatever. So he's a young kid for sure, but he's got a lot to work on. It was a good performance as far as like me controlling him and stuff, but he's a strong wrestler for sure. And I think a lot of people are going to have problems with him, but he doesn't like to get hit. And so he was wrestling more than what I wanted. I wasn't going to wrestle, but he came at me so aggressive. So I was like, I'll just put you down on the ground. So, I'm ready to fight as soon as possible.
Well, I would say, kind of going with that, how much into fights like this, when you have someone that's kind of new to the game, does your experience play into the victory out there?
I think it's huge. I think it goes so far because it's like, just when they think they have something figured out, you can kind of like switch it up a little bit. And I kind of got stuck on my back a couple of times, and then I was like, well, obviously this body lock isn't going to set in. He was putting his back up against the cage, so then I ended up having to kick his foot out from underneath him and then come out on top. And so I did that like 2 or 3 times, and then he didn't really have an answer for that because he had an answer for my body lock. He was doing really good about putting his back to the cage, and he wasn't letting me control him that good with the body lock, and he was keeping himself on top of me, and I couldn't get the angle on the choke. So, he's a smart kid for sure, good camp.
And last for me, I'm sure he's in here somewhere. Coach Safe, towards I think it was the 3rd round, there was some banter that started going on between coaches.
Yeah, well,
did you hear that during the fight? And what were you thinking when that happened?
I mean, like, what's up, Cub? Like, if you want to run it up too, like, I'm down to go with that fight all day. Like, don't run your mouth in the middle of a fight. If you want to coach if you want to coach if you want to be the coach and you want to tell him like instructions, that's great. But don't talk smack to the fighter while we're in there. It's distracting. It's like, who are you? Like, why are you talking smack to me? Because your guy can't figure out what you're trying to say because maybe you're not that good of a coach. Maybe you just run your mouth. So
if it wasn't Cub, but say if it was just a regular coach, do you think you would have caught it and would have been as distracting, or the fact that it was Cub?
Well, I don't know. I don't think of Cub as a coach. I still think of him as a fighter. Right. So it's kind of like, when I see him over there, I'm just like, whatever. Like, I don't know. He's not the best coach in the world, but he's trained with that kid for a long time, and I could tell that he's well rounded enough to like, he's in the fight for sure. And Cub was, kind of telling him what to do. But I think that you don't lose your temper like that and start talking crap to the fighter. It's just trashy.
Awesome. Well, congrats on the victory.
Yeah.
Damon, congrats on the win.
Thank you.
Right out the gate, Cub, 145 makes too much sense.
Whatever, let's go. I don't care. Like, I really don't think you guys understand that. Like, if someone wants to call me out and they want to like get the fight set up, like, that's not my job to set up the fight. My job is to show up the night of at weight and be ready to go. I'm ready to go. So
that's what's up. You mentioned your opponent not liking to get hit. It seems like you enjoyed it, man. Sometimes you look pretty coming back here. Now you got beat up, but
I had his back the whole time, and he was like perfectly like throwing that right over the shoulder, and my head just sitting there like waiting to run the choke, and so my head's just like sitting target. So it was funny because like he hit me, I was like, what the hell? And then like I put my head over, and then I moved it back, and he hit me again. I was like, okay, I gotta stop doing that. So I was trying to tie his arms up, but he's a solid kid.
Yes, sir. And solid performance. First 2 rounds had that Sterling, Peter Yan 2 feel? You're controlling, you had the back, everything's great. Third round, all heart, but it seems like you weren't too happy with it. From a scale of 1 to 10, rate your performance. Critique yourself.
It was more just kind of being unexpected with his strong of his hips were, because like my game with the top pressure is built up a lot of people making bad mistakes, and so when he was just kind of sitting there chilling because he was like strong enough to the whole position, it was kind of throwing me off a little bit. But it was just like you got to have a good weight cut, you got to have a good nutrition the whole camp, you got to make sure that like everything, your recovery is good and things like that. So I'm still